Did you know that drowning is the leading cause of unintentional death in children under 4 and the second leading cause of death for kids under 14? As the busiest water activity season is upon us and with childhood drowning accidents on the rise, we're fortunate to have Adam Katchmarchi with the National Drowning Prevention Alliance to offer parents critical safety tips they need to keep their kids safe this summer. Welcome, Adam.
Hi, Laura. Thanks so much for having us.
Adam, anywhere there's water, there's a risk of drowning, especially for kids. How common is childhood drowning?
Yeah, unfortunately, drowning is the single leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4. We're losing about 900 kids under the age of 18 every year. And then the problem gets even worse when we talk about non-fatal drowning. For the CDC reports, for every 1 fatal childhood drowning, we're seeing another 7 or 8 in our emergency departments for a non-fatal submersion injury. And about 40% of those require further treatment or hospitalization. So the numbers are just simply staggering.
Now, drowning is fast, silent, and preventable. What safety advice can you offer to parents to protect their kids?
We recommend 5 layers of protection. These are individual strategies, but when used together can really reduce the risk of drowning. Number 1 is fencing barriers and alarms. We want to restrict access to water, especially with toddlers. 70% of our toddlers' drownings are happening during non-swim times. We also encourage the use of really good quality supervision during swim times. And if your child's a weaker non-swimmer, being in the water with them where you can actually reach out and touch them at all times. Third is water competency. The American Academy of Pediatrics now recommends children can be ready to start swim lessons as early as their first birthday in consultation with their pediatrician. So getting their kids enrolled in high quality swim lessons that are teaching basic aquatic skills such as floating at an early age, very, very important. Fourth is the use of life jackets, especially when we're around natural bodies of water or when we're on a boat. Having that U.S. Coast Guard approved life jacket that's properly fitted can make a huge difference. And then 5 is emergency preparation. Drowning is an accident. It sometimes happens when we least expect it to. So knowing what to do in an emergency, knowing good quality CPR with rescue breaths, and knowing how to make that 911 call can make all the difference.
And what are some other misperceptions about drowning?
Yeah, one of the big ones that we're really trying to dispel, and we've already mentioned, is how quick and silent drowning is. Hollywood hasn't done us many favors in portraying drowning accurately, especially with young kids and toddlers. Drowning is fast, little as 30 seconds, and it is silent. Once they go under, you're not going to hear anything. And many parents think, well, if my child's in trouble, I'll be able to hear them. The reality is your child's more likely to drown when they're not expected to be around the water. That's not to say we shouldn't care about water safety during swim times, but we also need to keep that in mind after the child is done swimming for the day.
Well, here in sunny San Diego, we love to go to the beach and swim in the ocean, and so many families have pools. What steps can parents take at home?
Yeah, it's making sure we're restricting that access as much as possible. I can't stress that enough with young children. Water is attractive, and we want families to enjoy their time around the water. It's great to be with your family on a nice summer day and making those memories, but we don't want any tragic memories to come out of those situations. So restricting access, getting your kids in swim lessons as early as possible, always practicing good supervision. A great tip, if you're in San Diego and planning on going to the beach, go to a lifeguarded beach or a lifeguarded pool. That can make all the difference.
And what about tips when on vacation or around open water to prepare kids for a safer summer?
Absolutely. Every environment is different when it comes to water. So, if you are competent in your backyard pool that's kept at 85 degrees with no current, you're going into a vastly different situation if you're at an oceanfront beach. And so rip currents can be a concern. And we have a ton of resources available, both from NDPA and our partner organizations that can go deeper and help you plan the best summer activities for your family with keeping water safety front of mind.
For more information, go to ndpa.org. Adam, we thank you so much for sharing these important tips that could help save a life this summer.
Thank you.
And we thank you for joining us on San Diego Living. We'll see you next time.